Alright, we're back with a Season 12 Cup round of 64 game. This time we have Micah versus Dice or Death. It's a Crane on Seeker of Fire Dragon Splash list against a Phoenix Dragon Splash list. So two tempo decks going at it. Two Seeker roll, or Phoenix is on Keeper Vare, not Seeker Vare. So we're partway through round one here, and we just saw a triple Ningyo Water Ring conflict to break Meditations on the Tao. Probably the least scary of the Crane Row provinces. Micah has he has chosen to go with the upholding authority in the row, which probably means that Fertile Fields is under the stronghold. Most of the Seeker of Fire cranes tend to go with Entrenched under the box and a Manicured Gardens in the row, but Micah has instead chosen to go with the Upholding Authority, which is a very strong province, relying a little bit more on the Seeker Fate from the Magistrate Station and Meditations on the Tao to give him the economy in the early game to push through to the opponent's stronghold. Hopefully the Fertile Fields never gets flipped up, and if it does, then he can get a free card, which will hopefully help him defend his stronghold. It's also possible that the Shameful Display is under the stronghold. That would mean that it's guaranteed to be hit before they lose. So Micah is going in with the Fire Ring on Political. Let's see what ring the Ethereal Dreamer is selecting. Yeah, so the Ethereal Dreamer is on the Fire Ring. So that was a 3 strength Ethereal Dreamer. A Clarity of Purpose was cast on it but cancelled by Voice of Honor. So Phoenix can flash that back, but before Phoenix has a chance to do that, Micah plays the first Shame. Now we see the Shameful Display used for half value. Steward of Law preventing the Dishonor. Alright, so this is a tricky position for Phoenix. Typically, they only play Ningyo and Shrine Maiden. We see that there are indeed Shrine Maidens, Ningyos, and 2 Tattooed Wanderers in his deck, and we've already seen one of the Tattooed Wanderers. And because this is a political conflict, Shizuka Toshi could bow any defender that's played into the conflict. So that Ornate Fan represented a very strong breaking threat, which is probably why it was let go by the Phoenix player. Very few high value targets for let go out of Crane. This is what leads the Crane players sometimes to drop attachments altogether, turning those let goes into dead cards. So Micah claiming the favor with the Palace is very fortuitous. The 2 libraries for the Phoenix player are also likely to be very strong. We did see both players play a massive number of cards in the first conflict, trying to just gain a tempo edge. And I think that the Phoenix player is ahead on tempo after that first round. This matchup tends to devolve pretty rapidly once Phoenix can find Tadaka. Let me just confirm that Tadaka is in the deck. Yep, Tadaka is in the deck. We have seen that Crane has already played for Shame, Voice of Honor, Way of the Crane, and Bonsai. So Court Games and possibly Censure. Yeah, Assassination, Censure, Court Games, Let Go, and Admit Defeat, Game of Sedane, and Noble Sacrifice all still active. Guest of Honor Forfeit is good, although very likely to draw out a Cloud the Mind. Micah will have a good chance of having a let go when we do see that first Cloud the Mind, but the second or third Cloud the Mind may be able to may be able to stick. Interestingly, Dice or Death opts to draw 4 here, so with the libraries, he's still going to draw 6 cards here. I don't really see a reason to draw 4 unless he has something bad in his deck, which, yeah, I don't see a strong reason to bid 4 unless he's going for some very long-term dishonor strategy, but I don't see any card support for that strategy in his deck. I think you just don't overthink it and bid 5 here. Mike is the first player. The only attack he can make that won't automatically break Upholding Authority, if he finds it, would be a military conflict with Guest of Honor. Ooh, Narishma flips the Yoshi. I do wonder, he may have been looking for a favorable ground to be able to safely poke in with Narishma. Instead, he gives a gigantic target for the Phoenix player. Although Micah's remaining 3 provinces are all scary. They're Magistrate Station, Shameful Display, and Upholding Authority most likely. Micah taking his time here. He only has 1 fate, but a lot of options to refund that fate if he wants to play a character. Instead, he's going to go with Military Earth with Narishma. So the punish here would be Upholding Authority, but instead he finds a Manicured Garden. Because Narishma is honored and the Imperial favor is on military, Upholding Authority would break even with a favorable ground on it. This conflict still has a good chance of being disruptive for the Phoenix player. Even if he had found Upholding Authority, which he did not. So Micah not overextending here. We do see Phoenix player pushing for the win. You could get punished here with Admit Defeat, or Assassination, or a Bonsai from Micah. Micah just doing a little bit of a delay action with the Storehouse. Micah's being very methodical here, likely trying to figure out if he thinks it is worth it to push for a win. Instead, he has opted not to. We've seen 1 Clarity and no Against the Waves. Although, with the Earth Ring claimed, I do not think that he will Against the Waves the Dreamer. Alright, so we do see a Military Prodigy attack. It finds Shameful Display, so that Narishma trigger was a bit of a bait. We see the Guest of the Honor come out. Once we see the Shameful Display used, we will have Crane winning by 2. And this is the Water Ring, so that Prodigy can stand back up. But once that guy is dishonored, he's not very scary until we get a couple of attachments stacked onto him. So this is the 4th Ningyo played by Phoenix so far as of the 2nd round. It's got to be a little bit tilting for Micah, but there are options to defend this. The problem is that we have not seen any supernatural storms yet. And even a storm for 2 would be impactful here. So instead of spending his cards, Micah will just take the Water Ring. Okay, so this is Ningyo number 5. At this point, Micah probably wants to kill himself. Apologies for the poor taste humor, but what can you do when your opponent has 15 strength worth of free pumps that he can play through Guests of Honor by the second round? Crane doesn't have all that much they can do here without spending a bunch of cards. Thinking this through, we could have a second for shame, but that doesn't do much. We could have a sword that would stop the break temporarily. Um, could have a conflict character. All of these options are sort of suboptimal. I don't really see the Crane player winning the conflict, but stopping the break might be worth it. Stopping the break might be a bit unrealistic against this Phoenix deck, though. Yeah, Micah passes instead, losing that face-up Yoshi and the shameful display. So we see a Steward of Law come down. You would need to see a double block here for that Steward of Law to lose, and then in a political conflict, the Stronghold becomes relevant. See a Finger of Jade come down on Prodigy, so that is important to stop plays like Noble Sacrifice. Noble Sac on a 3-Fate Prodigy would be pretty scary, but that could be a way for Micah to just straight up lose the game if he tries to Noble Sac something before Tadaka shows up. Void Ring here to get rid of the Dreamer and protect his Narishma seems like a strong play. The defense here is awkward for the previously mentioned reasons, the Crane box and just the fact that attackers win ties. And that Fate pays for the Steward. I do worry for Micah that with those two libraries churning away, that the Phoenix player can aggressively spend cards and not really fall behind in any meaningful way. Crane's board is better right now, but with the two honored characters. But all it takes is Tadaka to really change the dynamic here. You see a fan. So we see a for shame here, that's good. If we see an against the waves, yeah, so by playing the fan, Micah is getting a 2-for-1 of sorts with the Void Ring. If he manages to win. So a Shrine Maiden at home, playing it into the conflict would not achieve much, but wow, 2 against the waves here is gigantic. Even if he doesn't need to use them now, that is a huge benefit for later. Does spend one now. I think we'll see a follow-up Clarity of Purpose. And then probably another break coming at Micah. I think that's a bit of a mistake. We do see the box bowing the Shrine Maiden. Moving in the Shrine Maiden may have been a mistake. It's not a Shugenja, it can't be stood. I really would like to see clarity of purpose on the Ethereal Dreamer, I think. It makes your attack a lot scarier, especially after the box usage. He could be not looking to break Upholding Authority, but I think being on the box as first player here is so massively scary that pushing for a break is probably worth it here, but he did not opt to do that. I mean, you're going to have 7 new cards next turn and first player. With the guest there, all you need is a cloud or 2. Yeah, so he does court game to re-honor, so we're breaking anyway. It just does feel like a lot more scary if the Dreamer was coming along, and then you could pressure the Palace strong or the Palace province instead of this empty province. It is Magistrate Station under the Palace, which you have big brained into not flipping, but could have potentially broken it, which would have been huge. We've seen one Yoshi milled already, but either of the other ones could be one of the things that would turn this game around. I just don't see you winning the long game here as Phoenix unless you can stick to Daka, but Micah has a pretty smart setup for potentially bridging to Daka. He has a deceptively large number of cards still live. And we get to have the 3-card peek at the hand. We see the Against the Waves, Hurricane Punch, and Bonsai. So taking the Bonsai is huge here. Taking the Against the Waves doesn't do that much with one already in the archives, or sorry, the discard pile. And so now we have an Honored Fingered Prodigy. We do have a cloud on that guest. I don't know when that came down. Okay, yeah, it did just now come down. Interesting to see if he keeps both libraries. I think he might need to recharge his board a little bit. Seven cards is a lot, though. A lot to work with. And that Stronghold Province is probably not that scary. If Micah is some kind of genius who puts Magistrate Station under his box and makes it work, that would be pretty cool to see. I guess we'll oh, there's Tadaka. So the real question here is, do you play Adept of the Waves and Mia Mystic to have a 3-shug board, or do you just play Tadaka and pass? I think Tadaka and pass might be the way to go, but the Adept would give you Covert. We know there is no Supernatural Storms in hand, or I don't know what the other card I was going to say is, but we know there's no Supernatural Storms in hand yet, so probably going for the 3-shug board is not that important, but I guess we'll see. So we see that he goes with the Adept of the Waves instead. So Tadaka would put him at 10 military force into an opponent who has 2, 4, so 6, 7 showing, and who can buy Hotaru. Um, if you had Tadaka, you couldn't honor Hotaru easily. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see if this was some kind of genius play or not. He could have drawn 3 Niños again. We have seen 5 already. So we do see the covert occur. This is the reason to get the adept instead of the Tadaka. Alright, so Water Ring all in seems pretty safe. He has an Against the Waves in hand known, and if then the Prodigy will be able to stand. If he did draw Supernatural Storms, that's a ton of skill popping out. We have seen 2 First Shames already from Crane, which is the type of thing that can remove a lot of force. So we are going to see the big swing, military air at the stronghold. Or water, sorry. The question is, do you covert Hotaru or Narishma? I think you covert um, Narishma because of the water ring bowing him. Even though Hotaru will bring 2 more skill if he... Well, alright. And it is in fact fertile fields. No super genius plays. So we see a let go on the cloud. Do we see another cloud? He would have had to draw into it. Yeah, boy, I don't know what I think about coverting Hotaru. Now there's just like nothing to play for. So he's not playing for the break. So a sword could be mysticked away. So Bonsai would give you skill, as would... well, with 2 Fate, it's pretty much just Bonsai that will pull it out for Crane here. Yeah, I mean, if you can't reapply the cloud, what is the benefit of coverting Hotaru? I do wonder. Man, you could have forced Crane to be bowed out here, but he did not. Instead, he's got a gigantic Hotaru coming at him, probably. Although, if he just doesn't defend, um, how can Crane punish that? Double fire is scary. Double air is not scary in this state, except for the extra fate it gives you. The extra fate is significant because a political rival from hand would be able to defend another conflict. Uh, huh. I guess defending into clarity also works, but a voice of honor would fuck you. Hmm. So Wanderer played as a character. I think this is a good play for Crane. You can go ahead and military Wanderer, possibly with the air ring for the economic play. And then Hotaru will be a good defender. Standing the adept doesn't do a whole heck of a lot, because it would be 3 versus 2. You would have to play cards, which Micah is fine with. I think you go at Manicured here, as much as that sucks, because an extra fate for Phoenix turns on a ton of stuff. If you find a... Okay, finding meditations, no punish, that's good. Let's confirm the... Yeah, there is upholding, so... That could have been kind of bad. Probably let this through. There's no board impact to this. Yeah, I don't see why you don't let this through. Alright. I really think this is a massive overcommitment to defense. When you're up 3 provinces, you should probably use that resource, especially when it's a ring that doesn't impact the board state. So he really bungled the shit out of this, because he just drew a display of power and a supernatural storm and put 3 skill into the conflict that could all be at the opponent's stronghold. Yeah, why you're going to win this on defense, I do not understand. Your opponent has the palace on a magistrate station. You're never ever getting rid of that. So the whole strategy behind this defense, someone will have to explain to me later. This is a very huge turning point for Crane. Hi, shoot. Yeah, we just saw a very big defense on an air ring at Meditations on the Dow that I did not understand. It puts Mike in a much better position here than he would have been if Phoenix just let that through. Because we saw that the Phoenix player just picked up a Supernatural Storm and a display of power. Let's see if Mike has the let go for that Wanderer. It could just be GG anyway, if he doesn't. Although the Zero Fate rival on defense desperation play might be what we're about to see. Yeah, the only reason I can see to defend there would have been the Keeper Fate, but maybe if there were Keeper Initiates, I would be convinced, but there were not. Just off of the back of Tadaka, Phoenix is massively ahead here. Let's see what happens on this attack. Double Supernatural Storm is still online. Court games here from Micah would be good. Yeah, the fan is rough. So we see Storm number 1. At a very minimum, he can flash it back. Yeah, we see the rival come down. So he needs one more card, then a flashback Storm. Imagine if the Adept of the Waves and the Shrine Maiden were here. The Prodigy would still be honored, and you'd still have 3 more force. You would just have the Dishonor token hanging out on the Shrine Maiden. They can be bowed by the box, but it's still better than this situation here. And he's out of Fate, so he can't Clarity. Weird. We will see the Dishonor on Hotaru probably. Nope. Honor on Prodigy. That's fine. But the Prodigy is probably gone, which is a huge blow. I think Micah could win this. It's going to take a while. But he's going to break Shameful Display, and he's going to double void the Prodigy. Jesus. Yikes, man. Turbo yikes. So on this turn, we saw the Phoenix player do a water ring that didn't resolve because he coverted, in my opinion, the wrong character. We saw him defend an air ring that did nothing. And we saw him attack with way less power than he could have. And then take a double void as a result. And those 3 mistakes combined is leading to a game that is now Micah's to lose, in my opinion. This board is disgusting. Yep, nothing here to recharge for Phoenix. Hotaru gets a dupe, another guest of honor, which is huge, with one another guest of honor, which is huge. Well, he's just gonna, yeah, this is totally fine. Just play the brash for a free honor token. and maybe do Potaru, maybe not. And if Phoenix wants to attack at all, he's giving Micah a card a turn. So Micah doesn't have anything to attack into meditations, but it doesn't really matter. So Brash and Guest can both get bowed by Yuona, which is the one weakness to his board state right now. Micah's, that is. Did Micah find his 1x assassination? That would be huge. Micah has 3 Hotaru, yeah. So there's one more in the deck. So this one is the Water Ring, which is trash for the opponent to display, which is the entire point of this attack. And then with no defense, it will get value if it isn't. Okay, yeah. This doesn't do that much for Phoenix because of the military favor. Micah, do you want to assassination? No, Micah does not. Micah just wants to bow the adept, which is totally acceptable. Ningyo number 6, which at this point is not that surprising because there's only 8 cards left in the conflict deck. Yeah, but as an attack, this still gains Micah a card out of the opponent's deck and denies covert. And he could still go to win it with his 1x Menacing Iron Warrior if he wants to. Nah, instead he'll just, yeah, drawing out the Ningyo is fine. Yikes. Micah's up to 4 cards ahead. He'll be at 5 cards ahead if his opponent attacks the fertile fields. Being ahead cards So what do I want Phoenix to do? Even when someone's behind like this, it's important to go through the thought experiment. Unfortunately, in this situation, there's not a lot of exciting things to do. I guess that Finger of Jade is there so that he can attack politically, which he'll lose. Weird. So he's trying to get his keeper out, I guess. The keeper doesn't save him, though. Micah attacks back with Hotaru and double voids Uona and the keeper if he wants to. So Shizuka Toshi does draw that Finger of Jade off. Micah has 2 Fumiki that we have not seen yet. Yep, 2 Fumiki we haven't seen yet. I think right now Micah is trying to evaluate if he cares about this clarity. So clarity resolves. Court games, which is pretty brutal. So now he has a 0-0 that cannot be bowed. Micah is representing 3 more cancels in his deck, with only 13 cards left. Supernatural Storm on the Adept of the Waves, which would put it back up to 2. Micah can still counter this with any one of 3 conflict characters, a rival or 2 Fumiki. Okay, Political Earth just for standard old double Earth Hotaru slam the board, get a crushing advantage. That Fate is there possibly to give them the ability to play more characters. Yeah, answering chat, I don't think that spending your box and a supernatural storm to get a keeper was in any way worth it. Um, because you have to remember your opponent gets their province effect from that attack as well. And he got your guy dishonored. So we saw a Shrine Maiden and a Benten's discarded. So we see Katana. Phoenix has played just one let go so far. So we see the Hurricane Punch on the Initiate. So Micah is up 6 fate now too. That's very scary. So now we see the assassination on the Yuona. Delaying powerful actions like that can force your opponent into making plays that they can't back up. So, see Katana on the Initiate. So the Initiate is now 5 skill. We could see the third Force Shame, we could see another sword, we could see a bonsai, we could see a character, a lot of things. There's enough outs here that you have to expect, well, another let go also. You have to expect Micah to have an answer here. But you are at least playing a fan or an attachment onto a character with Fate this time. So Fertile under the box is not necessarily what you want to strive for, but it allows you to put Upholding Authority in your row, which is definitely something that is worth considering. The alternative would be to have your Air Province out here and an Earth Province under the box. But if you think about it, this row out of Seeker of Fire has a lot of things going for it. The Shameful Display and the Magistrate Station are bread and butter for Crane. And then the Meditations helps you with tempo a little bit sometimes and also gives you a fate. And Upholding Authority is one of the main reasons that most people go for Keeper of Air, other than the air cards, is that it's pretty easy to put this into your row. And we have seen that if you can stall your opponent out at your box, getting a card a turn is very worthwhile. Yeah, I guess I did just miss a cheeky duel to dishonor the Initiate. I like that. Um, Yikes. So, play the Whisper here. You have tons of conflict characters to use the rest of your fate on. For Phoenix here, Master of Gisei Toshi is fine, but you're already so behind on board. I don't think it's kind of not as good as Tadaka for a situation like this. This Keeper Initiate is a 1 -1 right now, so Crane up a lot of stats. And we know there's no Koroi Moroi on box, so that does help Phoenix, or Crane even more. I know a lot of Phoenix players, now that they have a lot of One Glory characters, are just running KM under box to make it very hard to lose versus some clans. So both players dropping their bids. Micah out of necessity, and Dice or Death to try to catch Micah out. I think it would have been a good spot for him to draw a few more cards to try to catch up a little bit. Because otherwise, if he's drawing less than Micah, he's just losing. But Micah at the same time has to respect that he could lose. I thought one of the main reasons he was hammering the air ring was to be safe from milling himself in the conflict side. Neff, responding to a comment in chat, that the Phoenix player could be scared of milling himself, but trying to avoid one condition where you could lose in order to like guarantee that you're going to lose by a different condition seems like it's not accomplishing anything. So the fire ring is the Master Gisei Toshi ring to catch us up on the game. So we see a cloud and a let go, or a let go on a cloud, and wave the crane on Hotaru. So we are going to see Master of Gisei Toshi going in with spells only, but but Phoenix can't play any events, so there's that. 2 no cards head to head. Turns out Guest is better, that's why it's on the restricted list. Yeah, we see a cloud played out where Micah cannot, in fact, play a let go. But if this gets scary, he can favorable in Hotaru. Or even Brash Samurai. But it is, as of yet, not scary. Because the Supernatural Storm is only for 1. Yeah. Chat saying that he shouldn't have kept the library in order to try to see more Dynasty cards. I definitely agree. Wow. So we see that the box is bowed and Supernatural Storm for 1 is cast. At which point Micah can just, play a fan and be fine, which is what he's done. So Phoenix can't let go that either during this conflict. So Micah just takes it. And now I believe you can attack with Brash, military on, meditations, and lots of options here to pump this up, either through characters or through like bonsais and such. Micah trying to make himself safe on cards, I think, or on honor, so that he can draw cards again. So we have seen all 3 hurricane punches. And we're going Earth. Okay, so we are going for Earth, just punishing that small hand size. Earth here, very crippling. You either have to like double defend here or spend cards to stop the break. Neither of those help you. So anything at all from Micah will break. Even like a steward played in. Well, no stewards. One more wanderer, I think. Yeah, one more wanderer. Menacing Iron Warrior. Or bonsai. Bonsai is the most elegant solution. Yeah, against the waves, doesn't matter. You would have preferred to discard something else. There's no way for Phoenix to get Fate. So triple Ningyo here doesn't even break the box under almost, or there's only 2 cards in hand. So double Ningyo doesn't break the box either. Yeah, and it's a Void Ring. Micah's not even going to defend this because it's a guaranteed break on the crackback. With that favorable ground, he's 100% safe. Alright, Cheeky Fumiki will get the bow on the Keeper Initiate because it's a military conflict. There's no way to honor up. Yep. Wow, Micah really demonstrating here what you can do as far as comeback potential is concerned in this game. Um, so it will be a military, but it's still enough to break. So yeah, that's going to be it. Wow. What a comeback. That turnaround turn with the Prodigy buy and the Mystic buy into some ineffectual ring choices really is what did it in. You can't afford to make that kind of mistake against a player of Micah's caliber. That being said, losing against a player like Micah is never really an embarrassment. And I hope that this Phoenix player has more luck in future seasons. So thanks everyone for watching. There might be more games happening this weekend, so keep your eye on the League Media channel. And until next time.